Hi guys, and welcome to the second of our series of talks about mental health and possible ways to move forward from negative mental health. And I think what we have to understand is that mental health or mental ill health in a dysfunctional world is not so unusual and not so much of a deficit. Of course, depression and illness and ill health is a deficit at any particular time. But to understand it, to understand what's going on, is hugely important. Tonight, I wanted to focus on depression in particular. And I think it would be one of the most common mental health issues. And I think almost everyone goes through some form of depression at some stage in their life. And from a shamanic point of view, which is really my go-to place, depression is a transitional phase. In the ancient shamanic communities in Ireland and around the world, the village or the tribe would look after the people who are ill, especially so with mental health issues, and that when someone begins exhibiting certain behaviors, the shaman of the tribe or the elders or the chief perhaps would bring them aside and look after them until they passed through this phase, because it was seen as a phase. Of course, in our world, that's no longer feasible, really. And the difficulty is that we are fully embedded in the nuclear family, and the traditional wider community, wider child care, wider care in general, is not available anymore. We are very much separated from that old ethos, that old way of looking at things. And it's so important to reach out to people at times of depression, to say, here, look, I'm feeling pretty bad. I'm having strange thoughts, thoughts that I can't control, repeating thoughts, because that's what depression is quite a bit, this repetition of certain thought patterns, and that being in a loop, and you can't get out of that. It's like being in a hole. I've heard it described. Being in a hole that you can't see the top of and you can't see out of. And the thing to do is connect. Connect with people. Connect with friends, family members, those who hopefully will support you through it. It's incredibly important. But again, in the shamanic terms, depression or depressive symptoms or those behaviors that you may exhibit, they are very much a transitionary phase. In our modern world, we treat mental health very brutally, in that we throw chemicals at it, and we take people who are exhibiting extreme behaviors, we take them and we put them away, out of sight of the normal populace. And I suppose there's a certain amount of reason behind that in terms of mental health. But depression in particular, not really, because depression is turning inward. It's turning inward and shutting down. And the use of heavy pharmaceuticals and heavy drugs certainly numbs you. And I'd be the first to say that there are certain times when those heavy medications are necessary. If people are in particular crisis, where they could do harm to themselves or others, I think it's necessary to take the edge of those symptoms. But it should only ever be a short-term thing. And again, another thing I want to say, and I'll be saying this throughout the whole series, is to say, if you are on those heavy medications, antidepressants, all those type of things, regardless of what they do to your body, you must develop a strategy to ease yourself off. To go off those medications cold turkey is incredibly dangerous. So I really wouldn't advise that to anyone. Talk to your doctor and hopefully work through a program of getting off these medications. But again, sometimes they're necessary. Sometimes it's good to have that at hand. But it's only very, very, very short-term answer to this question, because it is taking the edge off the senses. Those medications take the edge off the senses. And if it is a state of trance, moving on, it's a state of moving on to a higher awakening, then it's taking the edge off that as well, and your insight is blurred. And that's one of the most important things when you're going through a depressive state, is that sense of intuition that will lead you in the right way, and the people around you. For myself, I had gone through a depressive phase, lasted a few years, and it was only for the help of my family. And at that time I was very lucky in that I wasn't taking any heavy medication. It wasn't that severe, but with the help of my friends and family and people around me, I came out of that, and thankfully have never revisited that. But we must be careful what we do. If we're on those heavy medications, have a good think about what you want to do with that. Talk to your doctor about other methods of dealing with this situation. And perhaps, only perhaps, that in the short term, those medications are necessary. But this is what's been called the dark night of the soul, the black dog. And that in itself, that going through that phase of the dark night of the soul is absolutely essential for those who are looking towards spiritual growth. Because it gives you cues, it gives you directions on where to go, and that's hugely important. That's massively important. What's happening is the mind is being exhausted by this loop of thoughts, the same repetitive, negative, low vibrational energy thoughts. And one of the ways to counteract that is to use breathing techniques. The breath, in shamanic terms, is the spirit, the movement of spirit in and out, in and out. And that's the way to bring positive energy in, even when you're at your lowest point. So let's try a breathing exercise. Let's try this pattern. I gave you a pattern last week, but this is a different one. And this is breathe in for the count of 4, hold for the count of 5, release very slowly for the count of 6, hold that breath for another 4, breathe in to the count of 4, hold it for 5, and release it for 6 counts. So let's do that with the drum. So breathe in 1, 2, 3, 4, hold 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, release 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, release. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hold. 1, 2, 3, 4. Breathe in. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Release. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hold. 1, 2, 3, 4. Breathe in. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Release. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hold. 1, 2, 3, 4. Breathe in. 2, 3, 4. Keep that pattern going. And by doing that, you're giving your body a focus. And by moving of the breath, and that in itself is a meditation, but in doing that particular routine, you are lifting the body. Lots of oxygen into the system. Lots of deep breaths. When you breathe in, inflate your lungs completely. And when you release that breath, release it completely. And this pattern will get you out of that loop. Well, hopefully it will get you out of that loop. And in some situations, it's a wee bit more, it's a wee bit more difficult because those thoughts are strong and overpowering. And we'll look at that in a moment. But those continuous negative thoughts are very, very important. If this is a spiritual evolution, if this is a movement to awakening, then you've got to find out what those thoughts are all about. You've got to think. And what's very, very useful in looking at releasing this depression is to look at the content of the thoughts and why you're thinking that. Look for the wounds that are being played again and again and again, and work towards healing those wounds. Because there's always, always, always a way out of this depression. But if you treat it like a physical illness, if you treat it with medication and drugs, the cycle of drug use and depression and larger drug use and depression and larger again, you're getting used to the drugs every time and all that, and it will lead you ultimately to be completely burnt out, and that is very much spiritually as well as physically and psychologically. So keep in mind, write a journal about these thoughts in your day. If you're going through a depressive phase, stop, write a journal, write down the nature of these thoughts that are on a loop within you, and keep that going, and see what the commonalities are. See what comes up again and again and again and again, and then you'll have some insight into actually what is at the very root of the problem. It could be self-esteem. It could be a loss of some kind, a loss in your life. Not a grief though. Grief is different. Grief is different, and sometimes it's absolutely essential to show those grief symptoms: the crying, the tearfulness, the dampening down of the spirit. That's a grief process, and we must again be guided through that, with friends or even professionals. But know the difference between depression and this, and really what we're talking about here is long-term chronic depression. There's also depression that is caused by events. You lose your job, your relationship breaks up, all those type of things, and you go into a slump. And that's also very difficult to get out of. But the breathing exercises will help with that. Will help. But it's a time to stop. Your body is telling you, listen to your body, listen to your mind. What's your mind telling you? That it's time to stop and look at what's going on. Review the situation, review your life. What has not worked out? What is not within your original plan? And is your original plan achievable? And look towards those thoughts. Look towards the content of this depression and see where it's taking you. And review. Realign yourself. Breath will help you realign. And then realize that it's time to heal, and give it time. And tell people about you. This is what's going on. Because there's absolutely no shame in going through depressive episodes, because most people do. Most people do to one degree or another. So the communication aspect of this is vital, of the healing process is vital. Some people say, oh, I don't want to tell anybody, I don't want to worry them, I don't want to burden them with my problems. But I'm pretty sure in most cases that if people knew that you were struggling or you were going through a difficult time, then they could possibly step up to the mark and help you and support you in that. But it's really important to communicate positively and effectively in that, and reach out. No one's an island. We all need healing. If you broke your leg, it's a totally different scenario. Or is it? I mean, it's the same type of thing. Your mind is breaking. It's fragmenting. And in the same way, the bone fragments. And we can set bones. And we can set the mind too. Through good meditative practice, good nutrition, good diet. It's hugely important. Drink a lot of water. As I was saying in the last talk, the work of Dr. Emoto is very telling about water. So when we're taking in water, we're taking in a very crystalline, intelligent substance. That obviously we need that, where the majority of our body is made up of water. But aside from that, there is an intelligence in water that you can harness. And what Emoto would have done is he would have frozen crystals of water, and he would have labeled the bottle that they were in with a positive or a negative statement. And the positive statement produced crystals. The shape of the crystals of water was absolutely beautiful, so intricate and so delicate, so beautiful. But the negative thoughts were very, very dark. It was very dark shapes, very clumped together, very, very violent looking actually, images. So that tells you the power of intention and the intention put into water. So if you're looking to heal from depressive episodes, put positive stuff in to change the nature of your body. Because water runs through all aspects of our physical and mental health. And obviously hydration is hugely important, but also to put in water that's infused with positive positive thoughts and positive phrases and anything like that, you know, is hugely healing. Exercise. You must get out into the air, into the country, ground yourself, because any mental health issue is the lack of grounding. So use the earth around you, use Mother Earth. She's more than willing to step up to the mark for that and help you out. And get out there, be active, work off that energy, that negative energy that's pulsing through your body at times at depressive states. Very, 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 very important. Meditation is I think, in my opinion, crucial in healing. And whatever meditation, whatever suits your purposes, for me, it's shamanic journeying. Shamanic journeying isn't a meditation as such, but it is in the same field, that it completely overtakes your thoughts, and you're focused, and you have a direction forward for that short time that you may be doing the journey, and that helps hugely. And of course, if you were to do a shamanic journey to your healing guide, then there's a lot of wonderful healing that can be done. But remember, if you're suffering from a mental health condition, mental health state, depression especially, it's telling you something. Your body is telling you something. Spirit is telling you something. The dark night of the soul. So many wonderful people in this world. So many geniuses, so many eminent people have gone through the dark night of the soul. Look at the literature. Look at anyone that stands out from the crowd. You're almost certain that those people have had hugely dark moments in their lives and have come out the other side. You know, and that's really important. Of course, in our culture, alcohol and drugs are an absolute no-no at times, depression, because they can seriously mess up your mind and your body. And with alcohol and drugs on board, combined with negative thinking and low vibrational energy, is an absolute cocktail for disaster. So for a short period of time, give up the alcohol, give up the drugs, concentrate on what you can do to take your mind off this and input positive energy. Another way of doing it as well, another way of overcoming these negative thoughts, is chanting. And there's a wonderful chant to Ganesh, the Hindu god. Now, this is not a religious thing, but Ganesh was seen to be the remover of obstacles, and certainly mental health condition is a huge obstacle. So, shall we do this chant that you can do when you're at your lowest ebb? Bring in the breathing, bring in the integrated breathing patterns, and do this chant. And the chant is Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. And Ganapataye is another name for Ganesha. So, and keep in mind, your intention is hugely important in this. Keep in mind that this chant will remove the obstacles in front of you. This can be used for anything, actually, and is very effective. I found it very effective. But let's go through this now. If that chant isn't working for you, try Om, simply Om. Chants are incredibly effective at focusing the mind and taking the mind away from those negative loops, those negative thoughts. And it's massively important to have some technique to do that. And if you structure your day in such a way that you have time to journal and write down what thoughts are obsessing your mind, time for exercise, time to drink water, time to meditate, work on your breathing, work on your chanting. You need to stop and dedicate yourself to this process, because this process will bring you out, and it will bring you out in such a way that the original intention of this depression, this spiritual enlightenment, this spiritual awakening, will come to the fore, and you will come out the other side, and you will be all the better for it. And that was one of the reasons we called this a lesson, a blessing, and an opportunity, because it is a lesson. It's a lesson to slow down, stop, listen to your body, listen to what's going on in your life. Look around you. Is this working? Are the people around you serving you? Are they helping you through this time? Are they worth your time, in fact? And if you get yourself into this state with all these suggestions that I've offered, it can be like walking out into the sun again. It certainly has worked for me, and it has worked for millions of other people. Take up yoga, Tai Chi, Qigong, any of those things. All of those are bringing positive energy into the body. Kundalini yoga especially is very, very good in this process. And Qigong, again, with the movements of the body, you're bringing in positive energy, and then you're expelling positive energy out. And beautiful, beautiful, beautiful practice. And you will feel that after a good Tai Chi session or Qigong session, you will feel that in your body. And it's absolutely beautiful. Okay, I wanted this to be short tonight, shorter than it was. We went on quite a bit the last night, but I think it's important to say what I had to say the last day. But tonight, we wanted to just give you a few wee tips and tricks, and maybe some thoughts on how you might get out of this state. But again, I have to say that if you are on heavy duty medication, do not just drop it. Do not just go off it cold turkey. It really is quite dangerous and counterproductive, actually. It'll worsen your state as opposed to improve it. Work with your medical professionals to get you off these drugs. Talk to someone. Get a counselor. Get a shamanic practitioner. And work through these issues. Okay, I'm going to leave you with a short meditation, a short journey, if you like, to that place that we had gone before, to the clouds. We call this series Clouds because that is what mental health symptoms or mental health states are about. They are, in fact, clouds that drift across the sky of your life. Some of them are dark, but they will pass, and that's the point of it. So if you picture yourself sitting in a lush green field, trees around you, with a perfect view of the sky, bright blue sky. You feel the heat of the sun on your forehead and your shoulders. Feel the regenerating effect of sunlight. And perhaps negative thoughts start to enter your head. Look at them, observe them. Don't run away from them. Watch them as they pass across the sky of your mind. Some of them may contain rain. Some of them may block out your view completely. Some of them may contain huge hailstones that pound you in the way that negative thoughts do pound your mind. But know this, they will pass. Watch them pass. And then wait for the sun to come out again, which it will always do. And feel that sun on your face, feel that sun on your body. Feel your body responding to the sunlight. Feel your spirit lifting. Feel joy again. The numbness is gone. Feel the real things. Feel appreciation. Gratitude for the things around you. Feel love. Especially for yourself. Think of your happiest moment, the happiest moment that you can think of. Journey back to that time. Feel that again. See the faces around you. See the room about you. Use all your senses to make that as real as possible for you, because that is healing. You will heal yourself by doing that. Fill your heart with joy. And bask in the beautiful light of the sun. I hope that's helpful. I know it certainly helped me. We'll be back next week, and the subtopic of next week's talk and Facebook Live will be anxiety. Many people talk of anxiety as the fear or the dread of the future and what could happen. And depression, on the other hand, is ruminating or thinking too much on what went wrong in the past and what potentially could go wrong in the future. But both things are dependent on past and future. But next week, I'll give you some tips on how to deal with anxious states and anxious thought patterns and all those type of negativity. So I hope you can join us then. And remember, mental health condition is an evolutionary state, a transitionary state. Bear that in mind and know that you can bring this to an end by your sheer willpower and by the use of spirit, because there is no better advocate in your fight against depression than spirit. Okay guys, thanks for joining us, and hopefully I'll see a lot of you next week.